Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Reimagine Your Digital Supply Chain During This Pandemic. Are you ready? So, few housekeeping items to go over. If you have any questions, please type that in Q&A box at any point of time during the webinar. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. If we don't get your questions today, we'll be providing answer by email. This webinar will be recorded and we'll share a copy of the webinar by email. Our experts today will be Krishna Prasad and Bomsi. Krishna Prasad is a supply chain management consultant having 26 years rich experience across various industries such as automotive, healthcare, high-tech industries, F&B, chemical, pharma, oil and gas, transmission devices, and industrial manufacturing. He has worked with diversified global clients across North America, India, Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Africa to implement some of the best practices within supply chain operations to improve efficiencies. Bomsi leads the digital supply chain solutioning for Suneratech. Bomsi has helped many global organizations transform traditional supply chain into dynamic and transparent digital supply chain network that drives the cost down and reduce the gap between demand and supply. So here is the agenda for today. We're going to be covering supply chain disruption due to the COVID-19, industry challenges, what are the need of our way forward to address those challenges, Suneratech solutions. We have a couple of interesting case studies and we'll leave time at the end for Q&A. With that said, I'll hand it over to Krishna Prasad.
Thanks, Swagat, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Krishna Prasad, as already introduced by Swagat. So today, let us talk about the supply chain disruptions that we recently experienced. Coming down to disruptions, we could see varieties of disruptions, but majorly I will talk about three disruptions that occurred in the recent past. So disruption number one is that in this pandemic situation, as you observed that most of the nations announced a lockdown to safeguard their people. So the next thing is that people got panic and they started overbuying, and there was a exponential increase in the demand where you see people unnecessarily purchased certain items as well. So that panic buying caused disruption of the supply chains basically. So the after effect and the disruption number two is most of the mid-sized companies, the supply chain reached to a deadlock because they could not react to the demand, that is exponential demand that coming from the market because of panic buying, and they literally failed, and they left with no solution to the problem. And the third disruption what we observed is that especially these mid-sized companies, they could not adapt to the rapidly changing market demands, and they seriously lacked coordination between the departments to fulfill that exponential demand in this pandemic situation. So whatever case it may be, the final result and final effect is on the supply chain. So these are the major challenges that we observed in the recent past, and we would like to address those challenges, and how to overcome those challenges is very, very important. So first of all, when a challenge occurred or when a disruption occurred, naturally your business goes down, and you need to bounce back to the originality, and how fast you can bounce back to your original situation is very, very important. So I bring to three critical resiliency factors to the table now, so that everybody can benefit out of this. So first point is visibility, supply chain visibility. So End-to-end supply chain visibility is very, very important if you if you want to help the organization either to plan your production or to replan your production or to reorganize your supply chain so that you can uh, you can fit yourselves into a rapidly changing marketplaces. And the second resiliency factor that I can talk about is fast and responsive. We need to be fast and responsive to the changing marketplace demands so that our organization can take up that challenge and will become an adaptive to the responsive supply chain to minimize that supply chain gap that comes occasionally or on a regular basis. And third important thing is empathetic leadership. So naturally, when disruption happens, everybody gets panic, everybody gets discouraged. So definitely they require some sort of moral support from the leadership team so that they can collaborate, they can sustain, and they can reorganize the things and they operate according to the demanding situations. So these three are the very important resilience factors that one can think of to bounce back to the original situation. So what is the need of the hour now? So if these are the disruptions and if these are the factors that resiliency factors that we can think of, but what is the need of the hour? What industry challenges, what are the challenges that currently the industries are facing? What are the pain points, I mean business pain points that uh, industries are facing right now? First thing is an outsourced production, or it can be a subcontracted production. In this pandemic situation, what happened is most of our customers, some of our customers, they lacked visibility over their vendors. In the sense, I have ordered, I have given a purchase order. I have an ERP also, and given the purchase order to the vendor to manufacture or produce certain 1,000 items, but I don't know whether the 1,000 items are coming to my place as agreed in according to the purchase order. So how best I can know the what my vendor is exactly doing, whether he could produce 1,000 or he had some other challenge, or he had not produced, or he is not providing a reliable data that I can rely on and think of doing my forecasting based on his data. So all those challenges, these are the type of challenges industries faced. If I'm only talking about one vendor, but in case if there are multiple vendors supplying multiple products, you see the complexity of the problem, and you see the invisibility here, uh, and that's the first challenge industries faced, and that's what we observed in the current situation. And vendor managed inventory. In case of vendor managed inventory also, it's the other way around. The vendor is facing a problem whether his customer sold the items or didn't, they are still stock is there, whether when he has to go and replenish those items so that his customer can maintain the sufficient stock so that his customer's customer is no, never went back with empty hands. So that's in such situation also, vendor needs to get the complete visibility of the what is exactly happening at the his customers premises. So that's one challenge. Another challenge that I see in this situation, and inventory management. In case of inventory management, no doubt there is already a safety stock calculation that is available in your ERP and all that, but how to fine tune that safety stock calculation? Is it a better way to do that based on realistic data? That's one challenge they were facing. And inventory obsolescence, no doubt the book stock says 1,000 pieces available, but physical inventory says only 998. We don't know where two had gone. Of course, we'll find out later on, and we will adjust it through physical inventory procedures and all that. But at the need of the hour is those two are also important for me now. How can I find them immediately so that I can fulfill 1,000 and send it to my customer? So such inventory obsolescence also causes disruption, delay in supply, and loss of revenue. All these things happen at some of our clients, and they wanted to solve that problem, that they just want to uh, keep their inventory in such a fashion that they can immediately identify and no obsolescences are found in their inventories. And also identifying the right inventory at the right place is another challenge. um, no doubt the storage location stock shows 500, but where is that 500 on the ground? That's another challenge. How quickly identify them is another challenge, right? So like that, there are other some more challenges we experience with our clients, and especially uh, um, wrong goods receipts. uh, I received some material and I am posting against some other purchase order, and I am processing my outbound goods to some customer. There are two sets of 5 cartons. Let us say 5 cartons here, 5 cartons here. In ERP, I posted correctly only, but the wrong 5 cartons went to the one customer. Next day only, I realized that okay, I sent some wrong material, and I'm sure in the next hour the other customer will also call that he also got the wrong goods. How to avoid this? This is a challenge, industry challenge, so that they can save on time, revenue, customer satisfaction, and all that. Track and traceability. Of course, there are some other solutions available in the market, but what is the simplest way at a click of a button that I know where is how to track my material, what is the traceability of the thing, how best I can control my defects or rejects or rework or human errors as far as track and traceability is concerned, so that the entire supply chain, it is possible to track back in case of any unwanted things happens. And secondary sales. uh, I sold my goods to my distributor, and that's the end of the story. But I am thinking that that's the end of my supply chain, and after that I don't know what my distributor is doing. No doubt there are some softwares that are available for distribution management and all that, but if that is not there, but still I want to have complete visibility what exactly my distributor is doing. So in case it happened in a way that uh, some of the distributors, they sold some items, but I don't know what are the fast moving items at a given distribution point. Let us say if there is some FIFO to be followed, so but the distributor uh, issued goods to his retailers without following the FIFO, and then finally end of the expiration date, he returned the goods that these goods are expired. Instead, he would have sold upfront, so that I would have saved on time and revenue, and accepting those returns and all that. Though that nonsense was not required at all, provided he would have followed that FIFO. So whether he is following FIFO or not, which are all my fast moving goods, which are slow moving goods, to which location he is sending. So such visibility is missing to take certain decisions across the supply chain, so that I can be more responsive to my distributor. I can replan my um, distribution network, or doing the production planning according to the fast moving items and all that. And coming down to another challenge is warranty management. People spend a lot of money to maintain a call center, to receive the call from the customer, to do the registration. And finally, that can be unreliable information. Some customer may bluff that he already purchased 1 month back, and he says that I just purchased it just now. So I'm unnecessarily extending the warranty for 1 more month. So a lot of challenges are there in doing the warranty management, especially in case of warranty registration and attending for the claims. So we have found some challenges there, and because of that also we found a lot of revenue loss is there because of the wrong claims. And counterfeits. especially if you look at some perfumes industry, 30% of the market is flooded with counterfeits. So this is another major challenge that industries are facing, which leads to a lot of loss of brand image, or it can be revenue, of course, and lacks control over how to control these counterfeits in the market. So no doubt, we discussed about challenges. Of course, in coming slides, and my colleague will tell you what are the solutions for these challenges. But definitely, we addressed some all these challenges, and let us see going forward how best we can provide you the solutions for this. And coming to the need of the hour, as I said earlier, um, we must shift from traditional supply chain to a digital supply chain. It is the need of the hour. Why? Because if you look at the traditional supply chain, there are various factors that influence the traditional supply chain and a digital supply chain in terms of let us say collaboration. Collaboration is very important, which is definitely it's quite often hindered in the traditional supply chain. As a result, a limited visibility to the entire chain. But in case of digital supply chain, the results into an increase in information sharing results into a natural development of collaboration, thereby it translates into a digital supply chain with a better performance. And coming down to transparency, definitely the traditional supply chain lacks the required transparency, wherein the digital supply chain provides a complete view of the whole supply chain. Obviously, that is obvious, because everywhere it is, every information is connected, unlike a serial move of the uh, things in traditional supply chain, right? So flexibility, traditional supply chain undoubtedly not flexible, and basically it requires a lot of uh, the information flow, it does not move as required, whereas in digital supply chain there is a better control, because changes in customer demand are rapidly acted upon, improving the efficiency of the supply chain. So that provides in the sense that some customer ordered some 100 pieces, in next hour he changed it to 80, but warehouse fellow doesn't know whether the order has been changed. He started making arrangements to deliver 100. By the time he received information that no, the customer has ordered only 80 now, 100 already dispatched. So such in traditional thing, you don't have that flexibility, because the warehouse fellow is lacking the required information at a given point of time, in real time. So you need flexible digital supply chain, where you can immediately react to the changes that occur in the supply chain. And responsiveness, basically, uh, in the traditional model, results it definitely results into delays and responses which are not in place sometimes, because lack of there is no information, there is no collaboration, so naturally there is no response. But in case of digital supply chain, yes, a real time response can be implemented on planning and execution level as well. So definitely digital supply chain will be more responsive. And communication, which is very important for um, having a good that's the power of the digital supply chain, because the information is typically delayed as it moves through in the traditional supply chain. But in digital supply chain, there is this information is available at all supply chain members in a simultaneous manner. Because of that, a better communication and better responsiveness, better flexibility, and having transparency, which finally leads to a best possible collaboration. So it is high time for somebody to shift from traditional supply chain to a digital supply chain because of these factors. And next slide, please. So you may be wondering that I have an ERP, but we are talking about some solution. Of course, we are about to talk about this some solution. So is it really integrated, can be integrated with my ERP? The answer is yes. So these are the points where we can do the integration. I mean, in case of forecasting, yes, no doubt you have a forecasting, but I am talking about more accurate forecasting. I don't want to fail in doing my guesswork here. So I want to have a more accurate forecasting. Yes, that is possible. In case of safety stock planning, no doubt you have a safety stock planning in your ERP, but can we fine tune that safety stock going forward also? Yes, that is possible. Supply network and outsourcing, yes, of course, entire supply network can be integrated and you can have a real-time information at any given point of time. Distribution planning, yes, you can do the best possible distribution planning using our solution. And production planning, yes, most responsive production planning we can do because we have real-time visibility over our vendors and over our customers. So one can immediately shift or reorganize the production plan and do the either increase in the production or decrease in the production. So it's all completely your responsiveness towards the data that you gain from time to time. And inbound processing, yes, inbound processing, it will be completely automatic, flawless, no errors, no human errors, and thereby you can save a lot of time and money. And outbound processing, of course, similar thing, no errors and lot of no time waste there. And cross docking, yes, cross docking, there are some delays because identifying the stock on the mid of the road or mid of the another warehouse is another challenge. That can also be in a best possible way, it can be managed without zero errors. Warehousing and storage, yes, not only this warehousing, no doubt you have warehouse management in your ERP, but identifying the right thing at right place at in the shortest possible time is the challenge here that we will address. Physical inventory, yes, physical inventory is also there, but how fast you can do that? That sometimes to count the stocks. So how fast I can do that, and by end of the day I can close my physical inventory changes that might occur from time to time. And logistics coordination, how to do the logistics coordination so that right material at right place is in the right truck, all that we can achieve that. And freight costing, of course we can do freight costing to some extent, but I'll let you know in coming slides. And procurement visibility, which is very important, which is the starting point of the supply chain. Unless you don't have that visibility, you cannot plan your production, you cannot have control over your vendor supplies. And manufacturing visibility, yes, supposing I have 4 or 5 plants, I'm sitting here, I have an urgent order of 5,000 pieces, and some 4 plants produced 4,000, another 1,000 somebody without doing production confirmation he left. So I'm blank now whether it is really 4,000 or, but in fact that another 1,000 is ready at the other plant, but I cannot confirm my client here unless I have that confirmation from there. So such problems also can be sorted out using our using this solution, I mean to say. And fulfillment visibility, yes, that can also be done. And supply chain analytics, undoubtedly you need analytics at the end of the day to take certain decisions. So these are certain integratable points, irrespective of your ERP. uh, the solution that we are going to provide can be integrated with any ERP. So with that, I give the stage to my colleague Vamsi, and he will explain about the solution. Thank you. Thank you all.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. So, having heard from KP about the disruptions due to the entire COVID pandemic, then having heard KP talk about industry challenges and the way forward, I'll now throw some light on what the digital supply chain solution of Suneratech is all about, which is called eSeal. I'll quickly take you through the solution overview, give you an insight into the highlights of the solution, talk about the architecture, and then move on to the customer success stories, which is where the entire story is actually there. Okay, if you look at the overall digital supply chain solution, this is an end-to-end 360-degree solution, so as to say, we are starting right from the supplier to the end user and the service sector wherever it is applicable. eSeal as a solution for every module, wherein it has specific benefits for each of the module, and the whole 360-degree solution put together would offer any manufacturing company complete visibility into their activities, complete visibility into the man-machine process, or complete traceability, both forward as well as backward traceability of the entire system, and collaboration with the entire partner network to ensure the supply chain is more efficient. There are more benefits of getting on moving to a digital supply chain solution. So we have solutions which cater to production, where we have a WOP visibility, which is the entire work in progress visibility. Product genealogy happens in terms of parent-child mapping at the component level or at the finished good level. The whole warehouse management system, where the solution offers entire inventory visibility. It talks about how do we do automatic pickup and automatic dispatches, how do we ensure there's zero obsolescence and shrinkages. Secondary sales visibility at the distributor level, which is very important for a company if it wants to push sales. Demand forecasting, the entire returns management process of it, where returns coming from the market, be it sales returns, be it warranties, or be it issue-based returns, all of them, how do we manage them in the system? And then move on to the consumer level, where at the retail level, look at how do we pass on the information to the consumer, how do we enable consumer to identify if it's a genuine product, enable there are anti-counterfeiting solutions available so that brands are not getting duped, empower the consumer with having a complete control over warranty right from buying the product. How can the consumer have the warranty controlled by him from the mobile app? Then to service, wherever it is applicable, where there's validation of warranty, where there is a root cause analysis for each of the service issues, and also the inventory visibility of parts and service parts, so that the customer service is always accurate and efficient. So as we move on to the next slide, we talk about the eSeal solution highlights. A completely cloud-based solution. We work with multiple cloud providers across geographies. A real-time supply chain visibility solution, like I've been talking about. So the entire solution is real-time, happening at the spur of the moment, giving you complete visibility of what is happening on the shop floor. So we call it a shop floor to top floor solution. It is well integrated with all the AIDC technologies out there, your online printers, your online scanners, handheld terminals, any of the AIDC devices. We work with multiple partners across the sector. Completely feature-rich mobile apps across various modules, be it the field force, be it the warehouse management system, be it the distributor system. They are mobile apps as well, so that the use of the application is easy and simple. We're not complicating it here. And then, needless to say, it's completely integrated with the Industry 4.0 light guidelines of how do we have a digital solution in place. Some of the modules of the system, starting right from procurement, a warehouse management system, then we talk about forecasting in terms of sales and procurement, the complete inventory optimization solution, where we enable manufacturing companies to optimize inventory, be it at the finished good level or at the raw material level. An entire registration and validation of the warranty process, right from the moment the consumer buys the product to any requirement from warranty or service, it is taken care by the eSeal system. An end-to-end traceability system, from the components being supplied by the raw material vendor to the finished good being manufactured in the factory to the actual product being there at the consumer end. As we move on to the next slide, I'll talk about the eSeal architecture. So there are three parts to the eSeal architecture. One is the entire eSeal software system, which is a combination of eSeal applications sitting on the desktop, sitting on the mobile phones, applications which are built exclusively for the hardware devices like handheld terminals and scanners. Then the second part of it is the entire ERP system. Like KP was talking about, this system is not a competition, it is not a alternative, but it expands or it extends the advantage of your ERP system. It sits on top of your ERP system, integrates with your ERP system at multiple touch points across the supply chain, so that you can use this to add more value. And then the third platform is the entire hardware part of it, where, like we said, the eSeal ID, which is a 16-digit ID against which the data gets stored, could take any form factor. It could be a simple QR code printed on the pack. It could be an RFID which is attached. It could be an active IoT which keeps emitting continuous data about the man, machine, and the process data. And then to read these different form factors, we also have applications integrated with their various readers. So it could be a handle terminal, it could be an RFID antenna sitting somewhere in the warehouse and reading all the data. It could be inline or vision line camera systems. So these three parts together become the crux of the eSeal solution. Like I was talking about the applications part, we have applications for mobile which are built for all the three OS out there, which are built for Android, which are built for iPhone and the BlackBerry systems. If you look at the right part of the screen where we talk about the product genealogy, so the eSeal ID would go as low as onto the product saleable unit, which is every individual item which is getting sold in the market. If so, this is a solution which goes down to the micro level, drills down to the product saleable unit level rather than at a batch level. So every unit out there would have an eSeal ID, would be tracked continuously, and in case there's a quality issue and you would like to recall, we can also get that done. I'll talk through the use case when you talk about the customer case studies. Moving on to the next slide, these are some of the application screens, just a glimpse of it. When we have individual demos with each of you, we'll take you through the entire demo, explain how the system works. So there's a mobile application. The right side is the inspect details, where this is the story of how the product is moving from the production facility or the manufacturing facility to the depot, to the end user, and to the service center where are applicable. A mobile-based application which is built on a cross-platform, cross OS platform. The desktop application, then the multiple reports and dashboards available on the portal. We have around 16 standard dashboards which are customized in the system to give an overview of inventory, to give an overview of dispatches, of returns, of FIFO enablement, and then the provision to build multiple customized dashboards based on the business requirements. The next slide would talk about some of the solutions which we've been working with across different industries. We've been working across various industries, 9 industries which are listed here, which pretty much covers the entire manufacturing space. And then we've been working with some of the global brands across the globe, across geographies. We're working with brands like Unilever in India and Asia. We're working with brands like Valvoline, Gulf Oil in the lubricant space, with the UB Spirits Group. We're working with some of the leading Indian component and electrical and electronic application manufacturing companies like V-Guard and Orient, where as we go to customer case studies, I'll talk about what do we do with each of these brands and what are the unique use cases which we've been helping out these customers with. The next slide then talks about the whole eSeal benefits. Like I was talking about, if you look at the eSeal digital supply chain system, the 3 high-level benefits which you talk of. One is reduce inventory carrying costs. eSeal enables you to reduce your inventory carrying costs, which directly leads to increased revenue and reduce production and cost of production. Some of the specific benefits, if you go into details, it helps you reduce the safety stock, be it at the raw material level or at the finished good level. This leads to a direct increase in revenue as well as reduce loss of production, because my entire production is planned. I know what is available at which supplier. Procurement visibility is 100%. So if I'm talking to a company like Sikorsky, where I work with one of their vendors, which is Betashin. Now Sikorsky, which has a range of suppliers, they have around 540 suppliers in the US, has 100% visibility into what stock is available with each of the vendors. Imagine having that sort of visibility into each of your suppliers. Any project or any program I take up, I just log into the eSeal portal, click on the part, and then I know which supplier can deliver it in the next few days. So there's efficiency in terms of the program being planned perfectly. There is no weightage or there's no work stops due to loss of supplier or raw material inventory there. The entire outsourcing difficulties, the challenges with outsourcing in terms of lack of communication and visibility or lack of communication and delivery dates is all taken care by the eSeal system. Supply analytics, like KP was talking about, the demand forecasting, how much has happened last time, which goods have sold the most in which geography, which season had seen the highest sale of which products, which product is not moving in which season. So the entire data which is available would sort of enable you build a lot more analytics on your supply chain. So these are some of the potential benefits we talk about eSeal. So now when we move on to the most interesting and the important part of the webinar, which is the customer success stories. So we've decided to talk about 2 customer success stories here. One of a company which is a leading electrical and electronics appliances manufacturing company in India. The name of the company is V-Guard. They've started off manufacturing stabilizers. It's a well-known brand in India. And now they manufacture around 16 different product lines. And we're proud to say eSeal started off with one product line, and now we enable them to digitalize the supply chain across all the 16 product lines, across their entire 624 distributors, covering their 25,000 plus retailers. This has been a result of over 4 years of working with VGuard. When we started off with VGuard, so some of the business challenges they spoke to us, or when we discussed, were more about how do I bring visibility into my system? How do I traceability? VGuard has close to 124 suppliers right now. So how do I ensure my inventory visibility at each of these suppliers is there so that my outsourced production is not getting affected? Then one of the other use cases they were talking about was how do I identify counterfeits in the system? I know there's a leakage which is happening in the system, in the supply chain downstream. How do I identify it? How do I eliminate counterfeits in the system? How do I enable my customers to have digital warranty management? How do I make sure the customer has an ease of enabling digital warranty management without being dependent on either the salesperson or the distributor or the retailer? So to go into further detail, so when we started off, like I said, so the first solution which we offered them was visibility, where we said every VGuard product would have an eSeal ID affixed on it, which is a 16-digit ID. This ID would then keep storing data against the product as it moves. So starting right from the production line, the data is getting captured into which line is it manufactured, which line is it moving from the production facility, when did it move to the warehouse? So what is my inventory of that specific product at the warehouse? How much is lying in stock? Am I ensuring FIFO dispatch is happening, FIFO or FMFO, whichever is the business logic? Am I ensuring that dispatch is happening accurately? All this has enabled VGuard to sort of build an inventory optimization system where their inventory carrying cost, which was around 3 months, around 91 days earlier, is now come down to almost 46 days, which is 1.5 months. Now you understand inventory carrying cost better. So it does. VGuard has literally moved on from carrying inventory worth 3 months to inventory worth 1.5 months, which is a direct saving in terms of revenue. Similarly, the visibility into their entire 124 suppliers today gives them the power to ensure the product moving from the production facility to the market is fast. So the movement from factory to market is very quick. The lead time is cut down because I know what is available at which vendor. I know how much finished good is available. I know how much raw material is available, and how do I do this to ensure my production is accurate, and then I move it quickly. One of the use cases, or one of the experiences we interfered with counterfeiting was when there was a there's a specific region where the field force has realized that a product which was not supposed to be sold in that specific geography was being sold to the retailers. Now the field force, curious as to how it found its way, goes to the retail person and then asks him, and then he says, distributor A has been selling it to me, and then I've been getting it at a better price, which is why I've been pushing it, because I'm making my margins. Now this has piqued the interest of the sales guy. So what he does, he picks up the product, scans the eSeal ID on it. It tells him what is the expected track of the product, which means from which factory to which warehouse to which depot, and which depot to which retailer, which distributor and retailer. And then he realized this distributor is getting it not through the legal means, but then is getting it by arm twisting tactics. This complaint is immediately raised to the VGuard legal system. The proof is the entire eSeal traceability story which is attached with it, and then the distributor is caught, and then the necessary business actions are being taken. So these are one of the many use cases which is helping with VGuard having the eSeal system end to end. Now the other solution which we talk about today is we've been working with this brand which is popular, which every one of you is aware, which is Unilever. We've been proud to be associated with Unilever. We've been working with them in India and the APAC market. Unilever had their own challenges in terms of having the traceability system. While both the companies have SAP as an ERP and then they use it, we are looking at how do we extend the advantage of SAP to these systems. So one of the use cases for Unilever was wrong dispatches. So I have stock in my warehouse, and then the stock looks similar. There are multiple SKUs which Unilever is talking about. So everything looks similar to the naked eye. So when the dispatch is happening with the unions workforce which are there, the dispatches tend to happen very quickly. And then Unilever realized over a period of time there are wrong dispatches from the warehouse which were not being checked at the warehouse. And then obviously the distributor is not sending them back because he's okay having additional material and additional stock to send. So the eSeal system is then implemented, once it was implemented at the warehouse, has enabled Unilever to track every dispatch which is happening. So the eSeal pick list would scan each of these pallets, and if it is not part of the checklist, then there's an immediate flag which is raised, which ensures that the wrong dispatch is not happening. Now, this is sort of help Unilever solve two challenges. One is reduce the entire stock obsolescence or wastage which is happening in the warehouse, because I know which has to be sent, which is lying where in the warehouse. Two, ensure there's zero wrong dispatches happening, which means there's no cost for reverse logistics or there's no cost of material or stock being written off. One of the other things which we did with Unilever was the entire raw material and packaging material mapping to the finished good. So in terms of quality issues, let's say there's a quality issue or there's a product recall which has to happen. eSeal is now enabling Unilever to track back which raw material and which packaging material have been bonded to this batch in the production line. If Unilever has visibility into that, Unilever would then go back to its supplier and identify which supplier has been sending out this raw material. As well as Unilever also has the advantage of knowing with the specific raw material batch, where are each of the finished goods lying in the market. So the entire system is now allowing us to pull back everything which is wrong with that specific batch rather than do an entire product recall. Like if you remember the Nestle example a few years back. So we enable Unilever to recall only that specific batch, thus reducing the entire loss or the brand image which is getting affected, as well as reducing the overall sales impact. The other one which we've done with Unilever, the last benefit I'll talk about is in terms of building the product genealogy. So every individual SKU is being mapped to the finished good. Every finished good is being mapped to the secondary carton or secondary packaging structure where it is being packed, and then that is being packed to the pallet, that is being mapped to the truck, and so on and so forth. So everywhere, a single scan of the system is one, ensuring the right dispatch is happening, two, updating the stock transfer against the dispatch in the ERP system. So on a broad level, what have we done for Unilever is eSeal is enabled the entire automation of the system. There's no more manual entry into my ERP. It is all automated. There's complete visibility into the process on the production line, at the warehouse level, at the depot level, and at the distributor and retailer level. And also the final benefit is it has enabled Unilever to have complete traceability of the system, both forward as well as backward traceability. What is moving from my production to the consumer, and what if there's a quality issues moving back, how do I identify returns, how do I ensure the returns are accurate. So these are the two use cases we wanted to talk about during this webinar. And then as we connect individually with each of you, based on your specific business, we'll talk about different use cases which we've been working across industries. We'll move on to the last slide. I'll have Jay Mantapati take over to talk about the entire Suneratech capabilities before we move on to the Q&A session.
Hello everyone, this is Jay Mandapati. I lead our business here in North America. A quick note about Suneratech as a company. We've been in the industry for about 15 years now. As you would have guessed, we invested early in the cloud, some very creative, innovative solutions in the marketplace. Very pleased to be working with some of the largest conglomerates in the world. We'd be very happy to hear about your specific industry issues, guide you through your supply chain problems, and possibly, address them through some of our latest and greatest solutions. Happy to take any questions. The team is available offline as well. So looking forward to interesting engagement with you guys.
Thank you, Jay. So let's open this for our Q&A. We have few questions coming up. So we have one question, I believe KP can answer this. What ERP integration does eSeal support?
It could be any ERP. It can be Oracle, it can be SAP, ECC, or it can be S4HANA. Any ERP integration is possible.
Okay, thank you. We have another question related to the SAP. We are on SAP ECC 6.0 and currently using SAP IM and WM in our warehouses. Can we use the eSeal?
Yes, you can improve your digital supply chain. As Vamsi stated, having IM and WM is not going to eradicate the human errors. So eSeal helps there. to quickly identify the inventory and with zero errors on either outbound process or inbound process to warehouses is absolutely possible.
So we have another question, probably Bomsi can answer. Do you have a mobile application for eSeal available to use for our warehouse personnel?
Yeah, like I was talking about, we do have mobile applications across different modules. We have one for the warehouse management system as well, where the operations can be done through a mobile app. We also have mobile applications for different distributors as well as the field force users. So eSeal as an application is available on the mobile as well. Yes.
Okay, so we have another question, probably Bomsi you can answer. Concluding the slide about architecture, please clarify, shall the three blocks could be from different sources? I mean, can you integrate data from various company? Each block are generally available in the subcontractor, or you need this tool to be at each step?
Okay, so to answer this question, yes, this can be from different sources. I mean, you could have a different ERP. You could have any of the ERPs, and eSeal can integrate with each of the ERPs. Similarly, the hardware could be different. Could be from different vendors. You could have your own existing ERP as existing hardware as part of automation in your factory, and then we can integrate the eSeal solution with the existing hardware. And then if you look at, if you're already using RFIDs, or if you're already using IoTs in your factory, we can integrate the eSeal solution to read data from these IoTs or RFIDs and then push it to the eSeal system. So to answer this question, you need to have the basic eSeal system as the base for your entire production, and then this system would then branch out and talk to multiple systems, multiple tools across each of these modules.
Okay. Thank you, Bomsi. We have another question here. Does eSeal have a predictive analytics engine for various types of future state analytics?
Yes. So, yeah, like I was talking about, we have around 16 standard dashboards which are built into the system, and then we have the option to customize dashboards. We also have a well enriched, well qualified BI and predictive analytics team with us, which is offered as a premium service to customers who are looking to build predictive analytics data for various types of future state analytics based on the existing system. So eSeal has a combination of the entire production data coming in from your multiple CRM systems, data coming in from your ERP systems, and then we can use this entire data lake to build predictive analytics based on the requirement of the future state analytics. Yes, we can do that.
Thank you. Bomsi, we have another question here. Can eSeal be used to manage green supply chain management?
Yeah, I mean, eSeal, like we was talking about, can be used to manage the green supply chain management as well. Or wherever there's a production process, or wherever there's a process of where your entire process has to be tracked, eSeal is a direct fit into the entire system.
Great. Thank you, Bomsi. We have another question here. Do you have dashboard capabilities? If yes, what are some of the dashboards available?
Right. So if you're looking across modules, across modules, if you have to talk about dashboards at the supplier end, we have dashboards which talk about the supplier inventory, the supplier dispatch details in terms of what is dispatched, the expected date, the promised date, and the delivery date, if there's a difference in that. And also visible, the dashboard which talks about the status of each of the production orders or work jobs at the supplier. If you're looking at the production module, which is the entire work in progress, the dashboards would have details of what is being produced on which line, which product, which shift, which is the real-time visibility data. Then we have information on the entire quality control and quality analysis part, how much is being pushed through, what has failed, if there's a QC fail, the RC or the root cause for failure, this is available in the dashboard. And then at the warehouse level, we have complete warehouse reports in terms of warehouse inventory, bin rack reporting, how much is the internal bin transfer reports, your fiscal inventory and cyclic count reports. This is apart from the overall visibility in terms of what is coming in, what is going out, how much is lying in the warehouse. And then we also at the distributor, we have visibility into secondary sales, how much is being sold, what is the product movement at each of the distributor levels. Then we have dashboards into FIFO, dashboards into MOQ levels at the distributor. We have some of the custom built dashboards, like we have a dashboard which is called a FIFO adherence dashboard, where every time there's a mismatch or every time there's a wrong dispatch or every time FIFO is not being adhered to, a red flag shows up in your dashboard alerting the concerned manager and his reporting structure to the top. So this is sort of an alert mechanism to ensure there's no wrong dispatches. So that is one of the dashboards. We have one very different dashboard for the company VGuard, where we have a dashboard which talks about the aging of inventory in general and also talks about aging of each battery and its expiry date. So let's say if the battery life is 90 days, this dashboards would highlight all the products which will be expired in the next 10 days so that the recharge can happen. So we're looking at multiple dashboards, around 16 standard pre-built dashboards in the system. And then there are options to customize dashboards based on your specific requirements. For the agri industry, we build dashboards based on returns, how much is coming in, how much is genuine returns, how much is inaccurate returns. Yes. So that answers. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Bomsi. So we have another question. What is the typical timeline of the implementation of your solution?
Right. If you're looking at a standalone eSeal system, we can implement it in as quickly as 4 to 5 weeks. Understand your process, get your master data customized based on your requirement, and then roll it out in 4 to 5 weeks. If you're looking at an integration with your entire ERP system, depending on the number of integration touch points or the number of modules where we're integrating, we're looking at anything between 8 to 9 weeks. So overall, a complete eSeal system integrated with ERP would be ready to be rolled out in 2 months, 8 weeks.
Yeah, that timeline is because we have a pre-built APIs suitable for SAP. Let it be ECC or S4HANA. There is no need to sit and build. It's a time-tested solution. So we have all pre-built interfaces that are available for both SAP and Oracle.
Thank you, KP. So we have another question. What are the kinds of scanner you support for your solution?
Okay, so we work with multiple scanners, as in we work with inline scanners which can read production speeds up to 180 products per minute. We work with the basic handheld Bluetooth scanners or desktop scanners which are attached. We work with all the handheld terminals across brands. So this is not limited to one or the other brands. We work with across brands. We just have to identify the brand and then write the integration protocols accordingly. We work with the presentation scanner. So across any scanner, as long as it's a scanner, it's a camera, and then it can read the eSeal ID, we work with those scanners.
Thank you, Bomsi. We have another question here. You mentioned that it's a cloud solution. How does your product pricing works?
Right. So there are 3 parts to the product pricing. One is the entire annual subscription cost, which is an annually paid cost, which takes care of the whole product, the whole software application, and then the patches and all the version updates and version management which we do to it. The overall crux of the pricing is the recurring of the OPEX cost, which is the per eSeal ID, where we charge based on the transaction. So we're saying, please pay only for what you're using. Depending on your production, depending on the number of units you're producing, you can pay accordingly. So there's a price for the number of IDs which are generated. And then the third part is a one-time cost in terms of the overall implementation cost, which includes integration cost for integration with your ERP, then the one-time customization and implementation costs, and then the support cost for the go live and handover.
Okay. So Jay, KP, and Bomsi, thank you for your great insight. With that, today's webinar comes to an end. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll be sending out the recording soon, and as a giveaway, we are offering a complimentary supply chain operation assessment to all our webinar registrants. One of our Sunerians will reach out to you to schedule something in your calendar. Thank you once again. Stay safe and have a great day, everyone.